Hi, and welcome to Ohio Energy Project's E3 Smart Energy Efficiency Program. We are excited to have you as a new teacher to the program and hope the materials, curriculum, and knowledge gained will support you and your students in becoming energy leaders of tomorrow. This video will walk you through the elementary curriculum for the 2020-2021 school year. In addition, videos detailing each investigation and supplemental activities will be posted on our website for you to view at your convenience. This year, you will be receiving a physical copy of the teacher guide, which includes worksheets, answer keys, and background information for each lesson, as well as pre- and post-assessments and lesson plans to help with ease of instruction. You will also have access to these digitally through our teacher dashboard. Each of your students will receive a student and family guide, which includes lab instructions, worksheets, and background information. Student guides are perforated to help with homework collection. Each student will also receive a student installation kit with energy-saving measures they can install at home after completing the corresponding investigation at school. Home installation instructions are outlined at the end of each investigation in the home activity. Student kits and guides will be shipped to your school. You can also access these digitally via your teacher dashboard. At the end of the program, students will fill out a family installation survey to report on which efficiency measures they installed in their homes. This survey is extremely important to the success and continued operation of this program, so please, be sure that your students are filling out their surveys to the best of their ability. Teacher tip: review the corresponding section of the survey as you teach each lesson in the energy efficiency unit. Students are more likely to remember what they have installed and report back accurately. Now, let's walk through each of the lessons. Lesson 1: what is energy? Lesson 1 is broken down into 3 distinct mini-lessons: energy sources, energy forms, and energy efficiency and conservation. The main objectives for these lessons are to review basic energy concepts and prepare students for the upcoming labs on energy. Each mini-lesson has student background information followed by a student activity. In addition to the 3 mini-lessons, Lesson 1 has 2 supplemental activities: Energy Efficiency Top 5 and Energy Flows. Supplemental activities are meant to reinforce the lesson objectives. Materials and directions to complete these activities are included in your teacher materials, but not in your teacher guidebooks. Lesson 1A: Energy Sources. This lesson is a review of the sources of energy. Students will classify the sources into renewable and non-renewable and learn how fossil fuels are burned to generate electricity. They will then test their knowledge by matching the source of energy with its correct definition and give an example of each source on page 8 of their student guidebook. Lesson 1B: Energy Forms. In Lesson 1B, students will consider how the law of conservation of energy is relevant to daily activities they may take for granted. First, they will consider potential and kinetic energy and how all forms of energy fall under these 2 categories. Then they will consider examples of these energy transformations in their daily life in order to complete the energy forms matching chart on page 11 of their student guidebook. Lesson 1C: Energy Efficiency and Conservation. After this lesson, students will be able to differentiate between energy efficiency and energy conservation, as well as assess the energy they use on a daily basis by completing the Energy I Use Today chart. In this activity, students will think about devices and energy they use daily, assigning an energy buck number to each device used. They will add the total number of energy bucks to see if they are being energy efficient in their daily life. A score of 80 is considered very good in terms of energy savings. At the end of each lesson, students are encouraged to complete the home activities. These activities help connect the energy efficiency concepts learned in the classroom with behavioral and real-life changes students can make in their homes and communities. Each home activity outlines how the student can install or implement an item from the energy efficiency kit to make their homes and communities more energy efficient. Seen as Lesson 1 as a review of energy concepts, this is the only lesson that does not have a home activity or kit component to install. Lesson 2, Lighting. This lesson focuses on energy efficient lighting. Students will compare the heat produced and energy used by different types of light bulbs. Prior to the lesson, assemble and set up the lamps with various bulbs. If possible, plug all lamps into a single power strip for each group so they can turn the light bulbs on all at once. OEP recommends dividing the students into 4 groups so that each group can test each of the 3 light bulbs. Student roles for each group member are outlined on page 25 of your teacher guide and page 21 in the student guide. Instruct students to record the initial temperature of each bulb and then record the temperature of each bulb every minute for 10 minutes, recording data in their student guidebooks. After 10 minutes, students will calculate the change in temperature for all 3 bulbs to see which bulb had the least amount of change. Teacher tip: it may be helpful to use an outline stopwatch projected for the class to keep all groups at the same pace. After following the investigation procedures and performing the experiment, students will discover which light bulb is most efficient by finding which had the smallest change in temperature. Students have the opportunity to graph their results of the investigation on the graph paper using different colors for each bulb. They can further analyze their data by answering the conclusion questions on page 24 of their student guidebook. Finally, students will calculate the life cycle cost of each bulb when used for 25,000 hours. This will further demonstrate the benefits of using energy-efficient light bulbs, as students will see the cost of the LED light bulb over the course of its life is far less than that of the incandescent bulb. Help students work through the calculations and then review the data. To conclude Lesson 2, students are encouraged to complete the home activity. This reinforces energy concepts learned at school and encourages students to make energy-efficient decisions in their homes and throughout their communities. Students will tally the number of light bulbs in their home and look for the type of bulb. If they have an incandescent bulb, they should replace it with an efficient light bulb from their kit. Lesson 3, Water Heating. Lesson 3 focuses on heating water and using hot water. Support students in considering the many ways they utilize hot water and brainstorm ways to reduce this usage. Prior to the lesson, if possible, have someone from the maintenance or facility staff show students the water heating systems and discuss how it works and the energy sources that fuel the system. For the investigation, students will measure water temperatures at various teacher-chosen locations using the hot water gauges and/or digital thermometers provided in your teacher materials. They will also test the water pressure at these teacher-chosen locations using the flow meter bags provided. Instructions are printed on the bag and gauge for student and teacher review. After gathering and recording data in their student guidebooks, students should compare the recorded water temperatures with recommended temperatures. Discuss whether any changes should be made based on the results. Explain that many hot water heaters use natural gas. Natural gas is colorless and odorless, so a chemical called mercaptan is added to the natural gas so it can be detected when leaking. To conclude the investigation, students can complete the assessment and connection questions on page 33 of their student guidebooks. Afterwards, it may be helpful to go through the student kit components they can take home to help make their home more energy efficient. Lesson 4, Installation, Heating, and Cooling. Lesson 4 is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 supports students in understanding heat transfer by testing different insulators and conductors. Prior to the lesson, prepare by setting up lab stations, each with insulation containers, thermometers, and insulating materials. Make sure you have a source for hot water and a timer. Introduce the topic by discussing the direction of heat transfer. Heat always moves from areas of high temperature to areas of low temperature. Students can read Lesson 4 background information and then complete the heat transfer worksheet with pictures and examples of how heat moves. Show students the tile and carpet squares provided, asking them which square feels cooler, the tile one. Then show thermometers taped to the back of each square to prove that they are the same temperature. The tile feels cooler because heat is transferred from our warm hands to the cooler tile. The tile is a conductor. It transforms heat easily, whereas the carpet is an insulator. It reduces the rate of heat transfer. Discuss why thermal insulators and conductors are important in the home and where they are. Using the diagram on Student Guide page 37, discuss areas of a home that should be insulated. Discuss which direction heat would travel during the winter and the summer. Now it's time to start the investigation. Review the procedure with students and see the installation lab tips in your teacher guide before you begin. Students will hypothesize which materials are the best insulators depending on the insulators you provide, and will then insulate the size of one of their containers with the materials provided. Fill containers with the same amount of water, approximately 200 milliliters or half full, and record the beginning temperatures. Teacher tip: make sure the hot water is less than 120 degrees to prevent containers from melting. Also give about 30 seconds for the hot water to stabilize in temperature before taking the 0-minute reading. Students will record the temperature of their containers every minute for 10 minutes and then calculate the change in temperature. Students will then graph their results and compare data with classmates to determine the best insulator. Part 2 focuses on heating and cooling systems with an emphasis on the difference between heat and temperature. Prior to the investigation, review the heat and temperature section of Lesson 4 background information. Using the heat versus temperature master, discuss that heat or thermal energy is the energy from moving molecules. Anything with molecules have heat, even cold things like ice. The molecules of cold things are just moving slower. The glacier in the heat versus temperature master has more molecules than the match. So even though it is much colder, it has more heat. Although both beakers of water have the same temperature, the beaker with more water has twice the amount of heat because it has twice the amount of molecules. Remind students that heating and cooling homes accounts for the largest percentage of home energy cost. If possible, have students inspect the HVAC system with someone from the maintenance or facility staff and discuss what they know about the heating and cooling units at home. To begin the investigation, decide which rooms or areas of the classroom students should be measuring the temperature of. Review the investigation questions and have students record their hypothesis. Next, display the temperature guide and discuss how to read it and understand the percentage of energy wasted based on the temperature of a room. Using the digital thermometers and thermostat temperature guide provided, students will visit other rooms in the school or distinct areas of the classroom and record the temperature, thermostat setting, and percentage of energy saved or wasted. Review the results and discuss whether any action should be taken if temperatures are not within the energy-saving ranges. To investigate these concepts in their own homes, students should complete the home activity using items from their installation kit. Lesson 5, Appliances and Machines. Lesson 5 examines energy consumption of machines, appliances, and other electrical devices. To prepare for the investigation, teachers will need to gather pluggable devices students might see or use in their school or home. For the investigation, students will use watt meters provided in your teacher materials to test the power wattage of various pluggable appliances. Introduce the topic by discussing all of the machines in the classroom that use electricity and read Lesson 5 background information in the student guidebook. Review how to use a kilowatt meter and the procedures for the investigation. Teachers can choose to test appliances as a whole class, assign student groups to measure appliances, or set up the appliances in a rotation so that groups test each device. After testing each machine and recording the watts of each appliance on page 47 of the student guidebooks, help students work through the math calculations to find out the annual cost of each appliance. Discuss investigation results and ways they can reduce appliance usage at school and at home. In conclusion, students can complete the assessment and connection questions and review the home activity. Students are encouraged to test the seal of their refrigerator door and measure the temperature of their refrigerator and freezer, adjusting the temperature as needed to match the recommended safe zone. Lesson 6. What have we learned? The last lesson of the elementary curriculum is an opportunity for students to review what they have learned and discuss the successful installation and use of their items from their Student Energy Efficiency Kit. Students will need to complete the Student and Family Installation Survey regarding the installation of kit components in their home. This survey can be found on Ohio Energy Project's website and is also available for download and distribution in hard copy. Note, if you choose to have students complete the surveys in hard copy, they will need to be collected and sent to our office, 200 East Wilson Bridge Road, Worthington, Ohio, 43085. Please be sure that your students are filling out their surveys to the best of their ability. Teacher tip: if you have access to a computer lab or computer cart, complete the installation surveys together as a whole class, walking students through each question, referencing investigations and kit components. Students can now input their survey results online, or teachers can ship hard copies directly to OEP's office. This year, all surveys and teacher evaluations are due by April 15th. Stipends and following year program eligibility will be based on survey return. You will receive $100 if you return 50% of your surveys. Teacher note: we are asking teachers to have students complete the pre and post polls in their student guidebooks. On your teacher evaluation, there will be a space provided for you to record the average of your class's results. This will help Ohio Energy Project collect data on the effectiveness of the efficiency program and students' knowledge gain post the energy unit. Every teacher will have access to their own teacher dashboard. To access your teacher dashboard, go to ohioenergy.org, click on the Educator Circle, then E3 Smart Energy Efficiency. On the left-hand side of the website, you will see a link to the E3 BE3 Teacher Dashboard. Here you will be able to complete the teacher evaluation form required to receive your stipend, as well as view student submissions of installation surveys. We do not provide information on who completed the surveys for privacy reasons. Rather, you can see the number of submissions. Remember, to receive your stipend, you must have your teacher evaluation and at least 50% of your student surveys. The teacher dashboard also gives you access to the student and teacher guides and supplemental activities. In addition, you will have access to supplemental materials for each lesson. This includes videos, online games, PowerPoints, and other activities students can utilize at home or in the classroom. Thank you for participating in this year's training for Ohio Energy Project's Energy Efficiency Program. Please fill out the questions below and your supplies will be mailed to you. Thank you and have an awesome school year.